Black Canyon listed on the ASX mid-2021 and delineated a significant mineral resource estimate shortly thereafter, with an updated MRE late last year. Joining me today is Executive Director Brendan Cummins. Brendan, great to have you with us.
How you doing, Chris? Good to kick off 2024 in a positive note, and I'm happy to be here and happy to talk to current investors and also potentially new investors.
In a short time since listing, the company's pursuing multiple development pathways, providing optionality, and exploration-wise, you've also been busy. Talk to us about the journey so far and what it's taken to get here.
Yeah, so look, the company has been really busy. As you said, we listed in May 2021. The environment back then was quite different to what it is now. So look, we're really focusing on the foundations for the company, building resources, doing the test work. It's really the hard work that has to be done so you understand the economic feasibility of the projects. And also, once we've worked our way through that, it's de-risking. And then this year, probably focusing a little bit more on engaging with end users for both manganese concentrate and high purity manganese sulfate. So I'm an exploration geo by background, but really I'm working with the right people to make sure that we can get a mining development up and running across the Balfour Manganese province.
The global MRE at Balfour Manganese Field totals 314 million tonnes at 10.5% manganese. I believe this makes it the largest such resource within WA and second largest in Australia.
It does, and we're really proud of that fact that we've gone out there and been able to deliver a huge resource. It's been highly successful. It comes down to making sure that you've got the right ground acquisitions when you actually trying to put a resource together. It's not a matter of just going out there and drilling holes. There's a lot more to it, and we were quite strategic in assembling our ground position across the Balfour Manganese mineral field. So through the course of 2022 and early in 2023, we managed to acquire a really decent piece of ground up there. They had my eye on there for quite some time. And we were able to draw that, middle of 2023. So that was very positive in terms of developing, the resource base. So, look, WA, it's where manganese and iron, that's where most of it comes from. So now we're right up there. We've got the headline numbers for that size resource. There is still more to come. Well, we also delivered an exploration target, which we released early this week. And when you add up the 300 million tonnes odd in resource and also the exploration target, potentially we're looking in the 500 million tonne range. If the exploration targets, if we can actually draw those and verify that. So it's huge. It's a huge deposit in anyone's understanding. So look, really happy with that. And but we're also not losing focus on some of the other exploration that we want to do across our other tenements as well. One Daniel is also looking quite exciting. It's a smaller target than what we do have in the shales, but the grades are very high. Rock chip samples up to above 50%. So hopefully we'll get to that this year as well with everything else that we're doing. So plenty to get on with.
The manganese market is not well known, even among some brokers, but especially retail investors. Talk to us about some of the applications and why it's important that a project like Balfour gets off the ground and into production.
Yeah, that's a great question. The manganese market, it's a big market. It's the fourth most consumed metal in the globe, so it should be better understood. Everyone understands iron, I think, so you sort of understand that the pricing for iron. It's around it's over $100 a tonne at the moment. But manganese is a bit more opaque, and I guess the difference is with manganese, you're mining a product. We're producing a concentrate. At Balfour, we can probably produce the 33% manganese concentrate. That's actually sold to the two smelters who produce an intermediate product before it goes into the steel smelters. So there's that sort of middle step before it goes into the steel industry, but more than 90% of manganese produced globally goes into the steel market. So that's really the aim for Black Canyon is to produce a manganese concentrate that'll feed into that. Global steel market's still 2 billion tonnes a year, so that's huge. Even though China did have COVID shutdown earlier last year, it does appear to me, based on the stats, that they are still consuming quite a lot of iron ore, which is probably propping up the price, which I think is probably surprising a lot of analysts as well as to why the iron ore price has been sustained like that. But reverting back to manganese, the way it's sold is also a bit of a more difficult to understand. It's sold on a DMTU basis, not on a tonne. So, but when you convert it out, manganese is probably worth a bit more than iron ore per tonne on today's prices as well. And then you look at high purity manganese sulfate. Again, that's a much smaller market, but it's certainly a growing market. But there is probably 10 times more value in the high purity manganese sulfate than there is in the manganese concentrate. So that's why we're looking more seriously at the high purity manganese sulfate, particularly that most of the production comes out of China. So there's definitely more of a push to diversify some of that supply chain out of China. And, Australia, what a great location. We've really got to try hard to encourage this type of industry in this country. So we're talking to, we'll be hopefully engaging with government as well about looking at what we can obtain in terms of grants and other funding.
And looking ahead, Black Canyon will continue to assess a development pathway through feasibility studies and test works. What's the next step in the process, and what can the market expect in terms of news flow heading into the next quarter?
So we're actually embarking on some fairly significant metallurgical test work. So last year we demonstrated that from our manganese concentrates we can produce battery-grade high-purity manganese sulfate. That's at a lab scale, so we need to upscale that. And so recently from site we gathered 400 kilos of material, and now we're going to start in the lab processing that using the preliminary design flow sheet that we've established. And then we're looking at developing that further and just refining it to make sure that we can design. The next stage for us really is designing a pilot plant. So that's when there'll be some more serious expenditure involved. And at that stage, we hope to encourage some partnerships, with strategics. So they may be battery manufacturers or auto manufacturers, OEMs, just to demonstrate we can produce on a more continuous basis high-purity manganese sulfate. So that'll be kicking off shortly. And also with the manganese concentrate, we are a company with two commodities here, manganese concentrate and the battery material. We're looking at refreshing our scoping studies that we have completed across the Balfour Manganese Field, and we're kicking off that as well. So that's really updating what we completed in August, I think, 2022. We put out our first scoping study. So looking at that, but we're looking at the scale of the operation. Now that we've got 300 million tonnes, that gives us the opportunity to examine multiple pit scenarios, a centralised processing plant. And we'll also look at scale. So, could we potentially go larger to reduce operating costs? That's really key.
That was Executive Director of Black Canyon, Brendan Cummins. Brendan, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. And look, if there's any inquiries, any investors who want to get further information about the company, just feel free to reach out. My contact details are on any of our ASX releases. So always happy to chat.